Hello, hello. Just a moment here. Okay, we are live. Welcome, welcome. I thought I would come and give you guys a little bit of a transmission on this month's upcoming vault on June 15th. So next Wednesday at 5 p.m. PST live on Zoom. If you're unfamiliar with the work that I do, I serve reverence and responsibility when it comes to your resources. When it comes to you embodying your innate wealth, whatever that looks like for you. Your innate wealth could look something like a penthouse suite. It could look like going off grid. The idea isn't that wealth needs to look in any one particular way. You don't have to be a golfer to be wealthy. You can live life exactly as you desire to and still be wealthy. So obviously, I'm not just talking about money. In my body of work, wealth is your capacity to afford living your life. And I have worked with a lot of people who had a lot of money and could not afford to live. They couldn't afford to take a week off and spend it with their kids. They couldn't afford to create something they really wanted to. They couldn't afford to take up woodworking or clay or pottery. They couldn't afford to actually live the life they desired because they were just obsessed with money. Obsession is a fantastic way to exploit all of your resources. You can become obsessed with anything. You could become obsessed with work, becoming a workaholic. You could be obsessed with your bank accounts and never spending a dime. You can become obsessed with saving and hoarding. You can become obsessed with everything when it comes to your money. You could end up penny pinching, counting every cent that leaves and enters your bank account. But where you have obsession when it comes to your finances actually tells me that you don't have reverence for all of your other resources. Consider how much energy it actually takes for you to count every penny, rather than get one of those machines that counts the pennies for you. Or what I used to have growing up was this little piggy box, like piggy bank, but it actually looked like a bank, and you would put in your loose change and it would self-sort into the appropriate tubes, where then you would take that tube and just put it into a paper roll. But counting pennies requires a tremendous amount of energy, but there are some people who are obsessed with it. I need to know what I spent that on. I need to know where this is going. I need to know about how to make more money. And unfortunately, when you're in the field that I'm in, where I am teaching about the practicality and the embodiment of money and resources in general, it means that I get to see people's obsessive patterns a lot. But obsession with finances doesn't mean you're actually going to have more of it. In fact, it almost ensures that you will have less of the resources you actually need. Consider for a moment that money is a person. That when you need rent paid, they're there. That when groceries need to be bought, they're there. When you need new clothing or a new admission to a training course or a bill or electrical or internet, when you want a new phone, this person covers it all. Now, you know that being avoidant of this person is probably not healthy, which we talked about last month during the financial fuckboy. That fearing financial intimacy isn't helpful, but to be in relationship with them is. But the pendulum can swing, and it can swing far and fast into obsession. Now consider what it would be like to be obsessed with your partner. You're obsessed with how they pay things, with how available they are, with how much money they're bringing in. You're so involved in their resources that you totally forget your own. Because that's what obsession does. Obsession has you focus everything into one area of your life that you abandon the rest of it. You can't afford to live your life, not because you don't have the means to do it, but because you forgot that the rest of life is just as valuable. The funding fangirl is the archetype within you that is utterly obsessed with any one resource. And the way that manifests will, of course, be different for everyone, but typically it shows up in one of the several ways. It might show up as you hoarding money, being terrified to spend it, absolutely horrified at the idea of an unexpected bill where you have to spend any amount of money that you put aside. The idea of pulling money out of an emergency account creates panic and anxiety. Because this isn't an emergency. No, I can't have this. Obsession with resources also looks like micromanaging your calendar where you are busy every moment of the day. Being obsessed with time is something that our culture values. In fact, our culture values obsession overall because obsession is an energetic leak. If you are someone who has to micromanage your calendar, you need to have control at all times. Life cannot happen. Life cannot be fluid. You cannot have any room for margin of error. You become rigid and intense. You can't afford to live because you need to have things under your control. Obsessive. When things do inevitably happen that aren't under your control, you lose even more energy, more steam. This is why those who have heavy and intense calendars typically burn out. They have no room for life to give them energy because they are busy trying to control it, because they are obsessed with ensuring that their time is always on time in a specific order. We leak money through, or we leak our monetary resources through financial obsession by not seeing how they would be better invested somewhere else. There are people right now, and you might be one of them, who is demanding that your bank account be higher balance, not realizing that that obsession with money is actually losing you interest in a different account, or losing you the opportunity to take your family on a vacation and create a memory that will long last your bank balance. See, the obsession with any one resource closes you off to experiencing the others. Financial obsession will absolutely close you off from an energetic resource like love, intimacy, connection. Being temporally obsessed with time means that you will lose out on creativity and expansion. So the question you have to ask yourself is, what I am being obsessed with a reflection of the innately wealthy version that I actually am? See, when people first come into bank, one of the first things that I have to talk to them about is how the ordering of resources in your life is completely unique and independently determined. You may not actually need a $500,000 salary if the life that you want only actually requires you spending physical money for $50,000 a year. The rest is you gardening or living in a commune. If that's true for you, then that's what's true for you. Why are you pursuing a life that isn't? Where do you think you're going to go? And ultimately, what are you actually missing out on? Because that's what the funding fangirl does. She's so preoccupied by one specific thing that she becomes addicted and totally ignoring everything else in life. Consider the 13-year-old girl who is obsessed with One Direction or whatever K-pop is big right now. She loses out on hanging out with friends and enjoying the outside and playing with her dog because she is consumed. The reality is that most people are consumed by money. They're constantly thinking about it, constantly worried about it, that ultimately they never live their life as it is right now. But Steph, people need money to live. Well, sure. But I think you're missing the point. To actually live, to wake up and live the life that you want, the life that you desire, requires you to be less obsessed with money and more obsessed with the expression of your life itself. be invested in your life expression is very different than being obsessed with one resource that's available within it. So this month, we are going into the vault. And we are going to look at the costs of being obsessed with any one resource, but more importantly, where that resource could be better funneled. So your energy that you are wasting on this obsession could be used for creation. And creation is what creates more resources anyways. So while you're penny pinching, hoarding, obsessing, trying to figure out and manipulate and contort money, your energy is actually being wasted in the obsession, because it could be in the creation where the byproduct is money, of course. So if this is an experience that you want to join, I have posted a link in the comments for you to do so. Consider, what could you do with your life if you were less obsessed with money, less worried about money, less freaked out, less concerned, less preoccupied? Because the only thing you actually cared about was ensuring that your life was an expression of your innate wealth. That is what we're diving into. And I swear it'll be fun. It's not going to be one of those painful experiences, because really at the end of the day, that is the one thing that the funding fangirl knows how to do. Because in the things that she's obsessed with, she loves them wholeheartedly. We just want to spread that love a little round, just a little bit more. So join me on June 15th, 2022 at 5 p.m. PST live on Zoom. The link is the perfect place to sign up. If you're not able to make it, you can catch the replay inside of Bank membership, and I will include a link to that as well. Bank membership has all of the replays of all the journeys to date. And so it's a great opportunity that if you haven't been able to come to one and you will be missing one, to be able to join us. If you have any questions, my inbox is ready when you are. Otherwise, thank you for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you.